Welcome. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all of my people out there in internet land. I am William Honolulu Jr., and I have the privilege, nay, the honor, of serving as the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show. Welcome to Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. And my God, do we have a good show for you today? We're going to be talking to a really good friend of mine. And well, let me be honest, I have not been a good friend because there was like 10 years that I was working on some other stuff and had to get my life right. But when we was cool, like, hey, it was awesome, man. This is an amazing artist. Like, I still bump stuff from his 90s, early 2000s. This one joint, Signs. Every time I listen to it, I'm like, oh my God, did I like literally? I was listening to it maybe 4 months ago or something like that. Yeah, at the end of last year. And there was something in it. It was like, wait, did he kill? My God. It's like one of those stories that every time you know who this brother is? This brother is like the M. Night Shyamalan, Quentin Tarantino of rap, and he has taken his whole situation to another level because, if you all were listening to Donnie just now, we're gonna talk a little bit about that with Dr. Dixon, talking about creating a platform where Black people can learn so that they can be successful in the field. So we're going to talk to Stan Substantial Robinson. It's a little bit on his come up, and I know he always talks about how important his wife and his family is to his success. So I know we're gonna cover that. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome for y'all today, boy. And actually, another good friend of Substantial, Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan, hooked up with me back in our Radio for Real days. So you see how the world just goes full circle. You keep living long enough, you're gonna come back over it again. So that's going to be awesome today. And speaking of which, I want to thank the super producer, Crazy Horse, for all of his work and stuff behind the scenes, keeping us straight, making sure that we are aware of the stuff that is happening in the community. I also want to say thank you to the people that make this possible. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. We want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, today, we're going to thank Darker Than Blue. Oh, my God. Darker Than Blue, you know, I love their salmon, and I'm still disappointed that I was not able to get the Cowboy Prime Rib, but oh, that's going to change. And I told you what's going to happen. I'm going to give me some Cowboy Prime Rib, and I'm going to take a picture of it. Hell, I might take a video of it and the whole process of me getting it. I'm gonna show it to you, and you're gonna be jealous. You are. I know you are, because I'm jealous right now because I looked at the menu, and yeah, you know what happened. I forgot to eat breakfast again, so now I'll get to the ads part. Now I'm starving. Hopefully, I won't be hangry during the interview. But you know, the cool part is that we got Substantial here, and he can handle it. It's a wordsmith. Telling you, y'all don't even know what y'all in for today. J. Wendell Gordon, the warrior lawyer. If you find yourself on the wrong end of the criminal justice system, which is very possible being Black in America, are we going to talk about it or are we not? But if you do find yourself on the wrong side of the criminal justice system, please do not hesitate to give the warrior lawyer, J. Wendell Gordon, his office a call and find out how they can help you. They call him the warrior lawyer not because it sounds cool, but he fights for his clients and he gets the results. So if you're trying to get results and not end up in a situation where you are without your freedom, or honestly, for some of us, getting hit with them fines is worse than freedom. I know when I was younger and I had some engagements with the law, as it were. Yeah, I remember one time. Well, you know what? That's probably not an appropriate story to tell. Never mind. Okay, all right. I see what was happening. You know what? We're gonna. This is progress because at one point I would have told that story, and then Donnie would have hit me up like, "Yo, bruh, I need you to stay focused. You got a whole show to do." Okay, sorry. Oh, yes, you all know that we are streaming in the metaverse. And the Black USA News Morning Show was the first African American media presentation show to be streamed live in the metaverse. So yeah, we make history in here. We make history. We did that as a prequel to Black History Month. We was doing that back in like December, January. Y'all don't even know how it goes here. So if you are looking to understand and grow in the metaverse and really have a really good portal and anchor point, go to STEM City USA. Dr. Tyrone Taborn and the crew, they do an amazing job and are really focused on reducing digital inequity in the Black community. So go ahead and go and to the metaverse. Now, like I keep telling y'all, I gotta save up to get my Oculus glasses. I'm not like one of these fancy, famous people like Donnie Glover or Substantial. So, I gotta pool my resources. But when I get my Oculus, oh yeah, y'all, I'm gonna be stunting on all y'all. It's gonna be amazing. Edible arrangements. So I was on their website and they don't have the doves for me that are in dipped in white chocolate, but they do have daisies. They just have great pineapples, and I love their white chocolate. So I'm going to do that. I think I might do that today. I might not be able to get those Oculus glasses, but I should be able to get me some white chocolate colored pineapples, right? So make sure you hit up Edible Arrangements if you are in the Baltimore area, in Randallstown, and in Govins. And Govins is over by Northern Parkway and York Road, over by that giant up that way in Baltimore County. And also check out their location in Pittsburgh. Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy. I tell you all every day. Judge Murphy, who is the founder of the firm, he has been working with Black communities to change laws and to represent our interests my entire adult life. He has been committed to the cause and committed to the people. And I am grateful to have him and his firm as a sponsor of the show, a sponsor of the network. Make sure that if you find yourself in a civil situation, if you find yourself trying to figure out how to change laws in your community and really address injustice, make sure you give Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy a call. Um, Worst case scenario, you call them and they can refer you to, they might not be able to help you, but they can refer you to somebody who can. So let's just make sure that you reach out, because one of the things that happens a lot in our community is that we think we have to battle everything by ourselves, or we get so afraid of the uncertainty of price that we try to DIY a situation that you are not qualified for. So just make sure that at least you talk to somebody. They may be able to steer you in the right directions, or even like help you understand what your likelihood of success is. All right, let's keep it moving. And my company, of course, the Grinding Gang, we want to help you take your business to the next level. We do free memberships. So you get a free membership to the Grinding Gang and you are able to access our content, the knowledge library. We have business documents and examples. Like we even have for free, we even have the process, step-by-step process to walk you through starting a nonprofit organization. And so we encourage you to hit us up at grindinggang.com and give us an opportunity to help you take your business to the next level. But don't get it twisted. Everything ain't free. I just need you to know that. Level set your expectations. I don't want you to come and like, oh, where's my business plan? It's supposed to be for free. No, 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 no. The instruction on how to do the business plan was free. So make sure you want to level set expectations. And our newest sponsor, I Am Black Wall Street. It is a book written by Donnie Glover, the owner and proprietor of BlackUSA.news, and it has a foreword by the Honorable William H. Billy Murphy Jr. Esquire. So yeah, let's make sure that we hit up our sponsors because we appreciate their support. They're the ones that help make this possible. All right, so there's that. Make sure that we took care, we paid the bills. You got to pay the bills. You can't keep it going if you don't. Now there is some serious news that is out in the community before we have some fun with Substantial. There's some serious news that we need to be aware of. Not quite sure if you know, but 17 HBCUs over the last few days have been targeted with bomb threats. Now, thankfully, nothing has happened. There's been no detonations on any of the campuses, and from the last reporting, there haven't been any explosive devices found. This happened in November with certain Ivy League schools. There were bomb threats, and after investigation, once they made sure everything was secure, they realized that those threats weren't credible. The difference between Ivy League schools and HBCUs is that Ivy League schools have the resources to secure their perimeters and their borders. They have the resources to make sure that their students are safe. And at Ivy League schools, the governments make sure that they're safe. We don't necessarily have that same option at HBCUs. Uh, as a parent of a child who's currently sitting in class, what time is it? You better be in class. Hey, if when you look at this, know that you better be. I'm gonna check on that. Let me write that down. I'm gonna check on you in class. Okay. But as a parent of a student who's at a HBCU, this is great, very concerning. And part of the challenge that I don't think a lot of people realize, especially people who want to understand why blackness is such an issue. So we're going to unpack that on another day. But one of the things that they don't understand is that these are the things that we have to live with on a regular basis. We don't have the opportunity just to enjoy going to school. We don't have the opportunity. Hey, Michael, we don't have the opportunity just to be able to focus on the rigors of academic life. We have to have a go bag ready. We have to have backup money ready. We have to figure out how do we engage our resources over distance. And so please, please, please stay aware of this story and the HBCUs in your area. Let's make sure we stay vigilant. And if you're a student on campus, if there's never been a time where you see something, say something is as meaningful, let's do it. Some people might say, oh, you're overreacting. It's probably just a prank. I would much rather feel silly in a couple of months when they find out all of this was just a prank, blah, 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 no real threat, than to have another hashtag. So let's be vigilant. Let's stay safe. And yeah, let's fight. Let's make sure that as we are looking out, we hold accountable not just the individuals who are doing this, but we hold accountable the justice system to make sure that it gets investigated in the way that it should, the way that it gets done at other places in other schools. That's what we need to do and make sure that justice is served for real. This morning, if you all were not here for the show just prior to this one, we had an opportunity to listen to Donnie Glover interview Dr. Asante Dixon, at Ascension Medical Educators LLC. And he talked about the lack of Black doctors in the Black community. And one of the things that he really anchored on was that there's not a lot of preparation into getting people ready to go to medical school. So he created a company to one of the great parts about Black people that I love is that we tend to create the things we wish we would have had. And so, and again, our guest today is no different. I bet you he was like, if you could go back to the 90s and give me my platform, oh my God. But that's what Dr. Dixon is doing as well, helping to educate Black people on how to get into medical school and how to be successful once you're there. He talked about his experiences that while he was in medical school, he pulled up a mentor and was like, can you teach me how to study? He had gone to an Ivy League school in undergrad. He was a top student in K through 12, but he did not understand the critical skills necessary to study at that level. And so it was a really great conversation. So if you have any of your loved ones, oh, one more thing. His company also helps because they start so early. He also helps them get funding for medical school. That's a real thing. That is a real thing. Hey, good morning, Shonda. So again, I'm not gonna be on that because but it is important it sets the tone for what we're talking about with substantial because this is what Black people do. We try to make the world better for the people that come after us. All right. Oh, shout out to the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, A-Phi, especially those wonderful brothers and alumni at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC. So yeah, that's going real well, and I'm really proud of all the work that they've been able to do. Hey, Dave, chat. Oh, one of our other hosts of another show, Shared Space. Okay. And shout out to Liberated News since we're talking about arts today, and their amazing director, Dr. Khadija Ali Coleman, a former guest and a good friend of the show. Now we're going to talk about Black arts today and its importance in our society. Despite the arts being reported as slightly less important in school subjects, Americans, by and large, identify its importance. 95% of respondents to surveys say that creativity is a central portion of happiness in life. But we don't actually do anything necessarily to help people develop the creativity. And there's a big disconnect in that. The average artist salary is 72,000 a year, but the bottom 10% make about 50,000 a year, and the top 10% make about 103. So there is money to be made in the arts, and when we talk about arts, and Substantial will get into this in more detail, we're talking the full range of arts. We're talking music, we're talking visual arts, we're talking digital arts, we're talking written arts, we're talking, because guess what? Advertising, art, music, art, and all those things make money. And guess what? There's collateral money to be made off of art. Artists, lawyers, and organizations, yeah, there's money to be made. Management, artist management is a whole, yeah, we gotta need a whole show to talk about how artists get ripped off by some of their managers, but that's a separate show. Unless if he brings it up, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. This and that's a trigger warning, so I'm getting a $20 bill set aside because there may be cursing at that point. But we'll see what happens. The interesting part about the music and arts industry in general, well, the arts industry in general, is that like everything else, it's not designed for Black people. Actually, Black engagement in the entertainment industry is a derivative of slavery. There were a lot of times where slave owners would use the creativity, the arts, and the textile design skills of their slaves to make more money. They would have their slaves entertain their guests and sing songs and dance and act and all of these things. Now, when it came time to do it for profit, then that had to be a white thing. But good morning, Brandy. But they have been exploiting the whole time, and it didn't stop. There's a gentleman named Sam Moore. He was from the R&B duo Sam and Dave. He had made a couple of hits in the 60s, and his royalties were supposed to be 9,000 a year. I mean, 9,000 a month. Yeah, 9,000 a month. But do you know how much the union was putting in his retirement account? $67 a month. And this was 1993. So we're not talking about like, back in the 50s and 60s and wow, we have overcome. This has been in my lifetime. This has been in most of your lifetimes. And it took them 9 years to settle the case. And they owed him about $3 million, but they ended up paying 100 or so artists $8 million. Again, you owe a Black man $3 million and you pay 100 people $8 million, and it's okay. Yeah. Oh, did I mention that out of that $8 million, an attorney got a third? That is what Black artists face. And that's not even to talk about the engagement in communities, the differentials in payment outright, tours and things like that. And it's one of the important things is that a lot of artists don't even know what to do with that. I've had people who have gotten really crappy deal offers, and they were so excited because nobody had educated them about what real business in music was. And so what we have today is an opportunity to talk to Stan Substantial Robinson about how he's created a portal to help Black artists understand how to commercialize their art and understand the business of art a lot better. So bringing to the stage, Substantial. Hey, sir, how's it going?
Peace, family. How you feeling, brother?
Doing well, doing very well, sir. Doing very well.
Oh, man. That's what's up,
So,
man.
Okay, I tell them all this all the time. I have to remember to stop when I have people I know on, because I will start like we talk offline, so we'll start there, and I forget that everybody else don't know about all the other conversations. So I tried my best to do a lead in and an introduction of you, but tell the people who you are.
Yeah. So peace, everybody. As you mentioned, my name's Stan Substantial Robinson. I am an MC, producer, visual artist, author now, and an
Oh, okay.
educator.
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
make sure you tell us about that book because I didn't even have that on my list. Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah.
was
You
like,
just
yeah, I
have an
did. I was
image
like,
of
wait.
it. Yeah, man. Yeah, so yeah, I've been working in the arts and education industries for over 20 years.
Hmm.
And so yeah, man, as far as education is concerned, I currently serve with Omega Studios. They have a school for the recording arts,
Hmm.
and I teach music business classes with them. I also work with an organization called Words Beats and Life, where I teach the business of music and art classes through them. And so the age range of students I work with right now, I would say is maybe as young as like 12 or 13 up to
Hmm.
like early 20s, through one organization, and through the other like 18 to pretty much people in their 40s, because it's an audio engineering school.
Okay.
So yeah, man. So doing that, working on a lot of great music and stuff. Done a lot of music for video games. And of course my solo releases and collaborations. Did a lot of touring around the world and stuff. And yeah, man, just happy to still be at it.
Yo, like, and you've not only been at it, you've been able to evolve
Mm,
as the industry and the market has evolved. I
yeah.
remember at the Haven and at
Wow.
Fletcher's.
Take it back. Yeah.
Right, but I remember, but that is a lot of the starting point for artists. And so for those of you
Mhm.
all, see, again, this is the part where that inside joke thing kicked in. Sorry. Okay. The Haven was this wonderful little dive bar that is historic and that was historic in Baltimore.
Mhm.
It had some challenges later on, but it was a great place for a lot of artists to kind of come through and really showcase their talent. And I remember that's one of the places that I used to watch you perform.
Yeah.
And so you have made it from the whole kind of let's go for drinks or let's see what I could cover, you know, just so people can hear my art, sell some CDs,
Right.
to creating a platform that helps artists understand how to develop their art, how to develop their skill sets, so that maybe some of those missed meals they won't have to go through. Is
Right.
that is that a good summary of how you got here?
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's funny when you mention the Haven, right? Like, because I'm a guy that's from PG County, Maryland, right?
Hmm.
But then I left PG for college. I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York for graphic design. And so once, I started to make a name for myself before I left here, but
Hmm.
then I got to New York and it was like starting over, right? Like trying to
Right.
build a name reputation there, which led to opportunities overseas. Started to make a lot of moves while being there, then moved back to Maryland, but now I'm in Baltimore. So when I got there, even though I'd already accomplished a lot,
Hmm.
while there were some people locally who knew me, I still had to pretty much go at it like I was on
Brand new.
that first floor. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I would hit up the Haven in different spots, just to establish myself locally while continuing to build my global brand.
Right.
And so, but yeah, man, definitely in terms of like what we built with our company and the services that we provide to different creative entrepreneurs, just trying to help them avoid certain mistakes, right? Because the blessing in going in making certain mistakes myself is that I learn from those mistakes, apply this new information that I have, and now once I'm successful in executing whatever that plan is, I
Hmm.
now have both sides of the situation to look at that I can now use to educate other people so they can avoid some of those same pitfalls and make smarter decisions earlier in their career. Or
Hmm.
even if some of the people who come to us as clients are, closer to my age group and sometimes a bit older, and just still being able to, loving the fact that number one, they're dedicating themselves to being lifetime learners and realizing it's never really too late to make better
Right.
business decisions, right? And
Right.
so yeah, man, it's been really interesting, man, and it's been a great journey and stuff. It's really exciting, and it's dope to be helping my peers, helping people a bit older, and then also building and still educating the young people as well.
Yeah, because the range that you talked about was from 12 to mid 40s.
Yeah,
That
pretty
that
much.
that's a lot of people. Like
Mhm.
that's the big part of the bell curve.
Yeah.
And
And
the
that's
other thing.
just, and I'm sorry, and that's just the students, right? So that
Oh,
doesn't even
right,
include the clients, where some of the clients are older than that, maybe in their 50s.
right. And so one of the challenges so because I do something similar on the business side, like the traditional business side,
Hmm.
and I know one of the challenges that I face often is that people come to the table with these ideas of what business should be or how business is going to turn out because they saw their cousin someplace or they've been following this influencer and they want to do what they do.
Right.
I imagine that's the same thing in kind of the music and arts business side of it.
Sure.
I see people I want to be a triple threat so I can make this much money, or I want to
Mhm.
do these types of things. Or I want to have this sound so I can make this much money. When people come to you with that kind of, oh, I want these things, how do you respond to them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, basically, the conversation usually starts with, figuring out what, because sometimes they are multi hyphenates, right, where they have various skill sets.
Okay.
So the conversation may start with how do we, they're trying to figure out whether or not they need to kind of focus on each of those skill sets individually, right,
Hmm.
and kind of market each one different, and or figure out how they can all work together to kind of push their brand forward. So you have folks like that, and then you have folks who are you know like they see people having certain success with certain things, and so
Hmm.
they're trying to mimic those things, and figure out if it makes sense for them.
Right.
And so so you have a lot of different folks, and a lot of times what we have to do is we just say, we start with goals. Like where do you where do you see yourself? Where would you like to be? Where do you see this going?
Hmm.
We get that information, and then we look at what they have and then figure out like a path to that,
Okay.
based on their skill set, based on, if we're talking about a musician, not just based on the genre they work in, but really kind of getting down to figuring out like what subgenres, plural, their stuff fits in. Because a lot of times they see their self in a very general way, if they haven't really done a lot of digging and research. And
Hmm.
then we get very specific with like what lanes exist that they could possibly be moving in to make connections with fans who are looking for something very specific, or
Right.
consumers who are looking for something very specific. And a lot of times they're a bit too broad in their approach, you know.
So what you do, it sounds like it's because I love that when this happens. It sounds like the approaches that we take are very similar. It
Yeah.
is, hey, there's a difference between being good at what you do and being marketable.
Right.
Like, I've heard really great singers that I'm like, you sound good, but not enough for me to go ahead and buy. But I've
Right.
also heard some great artists that once you hear them, hell you. I mean, again, I'm still
Thank
pumping
you.
this stuff from the '90s,
Appreciate it,
man.
man.
What I mean, I'm
Thank
buying
you.
this and new stuff. So that
Appreciate it.
is a true thing. And but there again, we've talked about this before. You were like, you were not the best MC. Now, one of you,
Hmm.
you clearly will say you are one of the best, but you do
Hmm.
respect and recognize.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but there is the difference between being a good artist and being a marketable artist. Because
Hmm.
a lot of the stuff that I hear and some of the stuff that I see is like, this does not appeal to me at all. But
Hmm.
it's being bought up in this ridiculous fashion. So, how as you are helping people dig through into their niche, how do
Hmm.
you help them manage and marry that balance between being a good artist and
Hmm.
being an artist who can make money, or do they have to choose?
Yeah, no, not at all. No,
Okay.
you can be both, right? Like, but I think what it is, artists are often taught to. Sometimes we're taught that like the business, pardon me, excuse me. We're taught that the business is bad, like it's evil,
Right.
right? We're not really taught that it's an art form as well, right?
Yes.
There's an art to doing business, and so, and when I've learned different things about the business, it's helped me become as excited about a great idea on how to market a project. Like I find myself getting excited about that the way I get excited about writing lyrics or
Got it.
producing music, right? And so we try to introduce different things and treat it like, they're almost like equations that need to be figured out, or
Yeah.
puzzles, right?
Yeah.
And
I love the
and
puzzles. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you find different pieces, and those are different ideas,
Hmm.
and you combine them for overall image, like which will lead you in the right direction on how to market your project, and then recognize the fact that there are certain things that you don't like, whether it's about social media or different areas that you're operating in, and you got to recognize that there are some parts of it that you may not love, but are necessary if you're serious about pushing your brand forward in this particular arena. Like,
Right.
there's no getting around doing certain things. And so
Give me an
it's
example of some of those things, like
yeah,
the things that people your clients don't want to do, but are absolutely part of their success journey.
yeah, for sure. Like, the biggest thing I think with people of a certain age is social media. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I get why they're tired of it. You know what I mean? Like, because I definitely deal with that frustration as well, especially as someone who teaches how people how to market on social media.
Right.
Um,
That is
but
your bread and butter in life.
yeah, so I get it, but I just help them understand that, listen, unless you have the budget to hire someone consistently to do this for you, and even if you did have the budget, it's still a good thing to learn how it works and
Absolutely.
how to be successful on it. So that way, even if you are in a situation where you can afford to hire someone, you can tell if they're doing a good job or not, right? Like, you can know that you're getting the results that you want, not just a lot of views or a lot of likes and different things, but you're seeing that transform into sales, or people signing up for your mailing list, or signing
Right.
up for subscriptions. Like, there are real tangible things that are coming from the work that's being done. But if you don't
Right.
learn how that works, right? Like, if you don't take the time to learn how to understand that process and how to execute some of those things yourself, then you'll pretty much be throwing money away, and you'll be dealing with people who can ultimately take advantage of you, which kind of connects with that
Yeah.
manager thing we were talking about, you were mentioning before with
Yeah. Right.
artists.
Right. And
Hmm.
so to that point, I think that the understanding of the business portion of it is as part of the larger art form.
Hmm.
It's kind of, if you are a photographer, then you should probably also understand things about writing posts and things like that. If your art is going to be associated with, say,
Right.
social media posts, you need to
Right.
understand how the person who is writing is creating that, so that you can create a picture that complements it. The
Right.
same thing when you're looking at business. And the other part is to recognize, in business, this is not easy. It
Hmm.
is not easy, whether you are talking about the art or the business part. And a lot of times, especially artists, there is this my experience has been, this imaginary mythos, or this mythos around the art, that you love it, and how
Hmm.
it's all, if you don't love it and it doesn't move you, if you don't wake up to do it, if you can't think it, you shouldn't do it. And it's like, dude, you just
Hmm.
sing good. Like that's a
Right.
thing. Now, if you do, or if you are lucky or blessed enough to find a way to braid those around, that's a decision, and it takes work. And guess what? Just like hair, I don't have any, but I've heard with people with hair that when you braid it around and you don't do anything to it, the braids come undone.
Hmm.
Oh, this is a much better metaphor than some of the ones I've been using. I think it's because I don't have hair that I've never really thought about this. But like, that braiding thing actually works. Now,
Right.
if you get real talented, and when you grow, you can lock your business. Okay, I got some of our guests and some of my clients are hair people. We about to come up with a whole tutorial using hair analogies on business development. Like, that's about
Right.
to be a thing. Anyway, I just talked to Erica a little while ago. I need to give her a call again, because we need to do that. But to your point, it is
Hmm.
braiding that core artistic part with the
Hmm.
business part to get the look that you want. And the
Yeah.
more you understand and have defined goals and understand, wait, watch this, you can change them.
Right.
A lot of times
Right.
we get taught in business, like, if you start business, you have to business like the whole business time, and do business stuff, and make business money, and have business
Hmm.
decisions. All this
Right.
personal stuff you do, I'll be damned. And it's like, that's dumb. You don't
Right.
magically become somebody else. If you do, you should probably seek treatment and meds for that. That's a
Right.
separate issue.
Right.
Like, if you really do manage your business life, vastly different than your regular life, let
Mhm.
me tell you that that is a trauma response or a
Mm,
mental health challenge that you should seek treatment for immediately,
mm, mm.
because we are all one person.
Right.
And what you also lose when you try to show up as different people is the opportunity for the people working with you to work with the authentic you, to be able to
Right.
understand all of your creativity. So as we are talking to people about getting into business as artists,
Mhm.
let's also talk about the people who shouldn't. Uh-oh.
Mm.
Uh-oh. You know how it is. So I tell them the same thing. It's been consistent the last 15 years. I'm not going to keep it 100, but I keep it 85, and that's going to be a real 85. That other 15% y'all don't need to know, and 5% of it I'm trying to forget myself. So we will keep it 85. And some of that realness is that there are certain people who should, let me say this, they should not that they should not be professional artists, but I think they need to recalibrate what being a professional artist is going to look like for them.
Mm.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the people that you have either worked with or seen that were more challenged in the business of art.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that, especially if you're trying to build a business around what you're doing. The biggest challenge that I see a lot of times is that people are oftentimes willing to work harder for someone else's business or vision than they are for their own, right?
Mhm.
And in those cases, it's going to be very difficult for you to ever really get your stuff where you need it to be, because if you were working a job, whether you hated the job or not, you are willing to make far more sacrifices to be on time, to push that business further, to
Mhm.
get a raise, to create other opportunities in that space than you are willing to do for yourself, like for your thing. Because a lot of times, artists have this idea that if we're talented, that's enough. Like, man, I got the talent, I got the
I
skill
apologize.
set.
We have
Why
to,
am I
sir, we have to stop and laugh at that whole
right?
concept that talent
Right.
is going to be sufficient to make you money. That
Yeah.
concept has to be laughed every time it's heard.
Yeah, man. Work ethic, man, is key. And it's funny. One of my favorite quotes, excuse me, one of my favorite quotes, oftentimes when I say it, it pisses artists off, but it's from Chuck Close. He says, inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us get up and go to work, And
Amen.
so, in that right there, like I apply that, that blue collar like mentality, right? That get up, and like slave away at this thing that sometimes I love, right? And
Mhm.
truthfully, sometimes I don't love certain aspects of it.
Talk about it.
You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, it's like I've dedicated myself to this thing because I see what it can do. I've seen what it can do for myself, and I've seen what it can do for other people. And
Like what?
so,
Give me
so
an example of what being a professional artist can do.
I mean, number one, it can amplify your voice, right?
Mhm.
So if you're a person that has something great to say, why wouldn't you
Mm.
want to work? Like if you have something to contribute that literally not only can you benefit from it monetarily, but more importantly, the world can benefit from hearing it. Maybe it inspires somebody. Maybe there's
Okay.
someone who's depressed, who's on the verge of suicide, right? Maybe they hear a song from you. Maybe they hear some words of encouragement from you. Maybe they see an interview that you did with Black News,
Black
Black
USA News.
USA News. Yeah, man. And so maybe you are able to reach more people because you've taken the time to develop your business sense and market yourself a bit better. And now you
Mhm.
have more reach. And because of that, there are some people, not everyone, but there are
Right.
some people whose lives are more enriched because of that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's a reason to get up every day and work even harder at pushing yourself out there, getting yourself out there, and securing not just your legacy, but also helping others. So I see the music and the art that I create,
Mhm.
and of course the education side of it. I see it as a service, whether
Uh,
people
mm,
see it
mm,
as
mm.
self-serving or not. Like I understand that. Yo,
Wait,
I've
wait,
literally
wait,
met.
wait, wait, wait,
Go
wait.
ahead.
We gotta stop. We gotta stop.
Sure.
Because there are people who say that it's self-serving, and to them
Sure.
I say, "Suck you." So I can't curse on the I can't curse it. Well,
Right.
every time I curse, there's a fine, and there's going
Sure.
to be some very happy charity coming up soon because I get
Right.
triggered. So I came up with "suck you." It's like when people give you a backhanded compliment,
Yeah.
you can give them a backhanded response. Oh, fuck you.
Yeah. Right.
And you're absolutely right. It's like we need to. And by the way, we shamelessly plug
Hmm.
because especially during Black History Month, who gonna tell Black people's story if it ain't us?
Right. Right.
And so you better absolutely share this stuff and make sure that people understand that that it is important to do the things that you need to do so that you can get to the places where you do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure, and you know, and we all go through it. Like you know, going back to the whole self-serving thing, like you know, we struggle sometimes with you know, you look at your timeline and you realize you're posting a lot to promote the thing you're doing, and like, and sometimes you question like how much substance are you really putting out there, this, that,
mhm.
and the third, and then you know, I stop myself some days because you know I got to recognize that hey, man, if someone was literally online constantly posting about their job whether good or bad, like the work they're doing, and this is
Mhm.
ultimately how they provide for their folks. Who am I to judge
Oh
them?
wait, wait,
Like,
wait! I'm sorry. Stop it. You know Cass?
do I know? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we work
Oh
together. Yeah,
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 Cass.
man. Peace,
Cass
Keston.
is
What's going on?
a family friend. And he was on the show a little while ago.
Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to Keston. He directed a video for me and the homie T Lucas for our song "The New Balance." So,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
man. Shout
Yo,
out
good
to him,
people
man.
know great people, boy. I'm telling you that
Man,
this is and this is a really great example of the way your platform works. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like it's not just you in it as an artist by yourself. You
right.
recognize that this community of artists is what's necessary to get everybody moving forward.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, listen, you know, we lift each other up. You know, I use this hashtag sometimes, and we have these shirts on our site that say "My friends are dope," right? And
Absolutely.
that extend that to associates and all of that. But the whole idea is that you know, I don't subscribe to this idea that somehow by lifting someone else up, that's going to take a blessing or opportunity away from me because I'm putting
Right.
them out there and now people know who they are. And if they go check out their stuff, they're not going to be checking for me. Man, there's more than enough out here for everybody.
And,
You know what I
and,
mean?
and, and that's a very Eurocentric view, a very
Hmm.
self-serving one. And
Right.
honestly, that's how, as a society, we've gotten ourselves into so much of this challenge, is that people get so focused on me winning. And get
Mm,
so focused on, and to your point earlier about people working harder for other people, a lot
mm,
of that is because the only way we get taught accountability and agency is externally.
right.
If there's nobody, we don't get taught how to hold ourselves accountable.
Right.
We actually get taught to how to get over on accountability.
Hmm.
How many times at work is like, okay, they check here, here, and here, but between this time and this time, you could go over here, you got a smoke break or whatever, or they go on
Right.
smoke breaks. And it's we are training ourselves to find ways around accountability
Sure.
instead of teaching our children. Like Dave talked earlier about how we don't teach children art in schools anymore, so they don't even understand the value or how to access that creative point. And
Man.
that is again another reason that platforms like yours that focus in on this intersection of art and this intersection of business may give a kid an opportunity to go to say, "Mom, hey, I could be an artist," because even the lowest artist makes 50,000, and they won't be like, "Well, what the hell are you going into art for at school? And you can't make no money at that." I know this one comedian. He said when he told his father that he wanted to be an actor, he's an Asian dude, and that's the core of his acting. His name is Stephen He. Big shout out to Stephen.
Hmm.
His father said, "Do you know what I tell?" And I'm not even going to try to do the accent because I realized that it would be offensive. So
Right.
but it sounds funny the way he does it. So
Right.
he says that his father says, "I will tell you the same thing I tell every actor: large venti macchiato with one pump." Like,
Yo, my God.
right,
Yo, my God.
right. But that's
Right.
what some parents think about acting. That's what some
Sure.
parents think about art and stuff like that. And so with platforms like yours, like
Mhm.
you can change the entire narrative. You can say you can have a black kid go to like I didn't even realize the opportunity and like the standard artist makes on average 70 some thousand a year. Like
Right.
that can change the dynamic of a conversation around
Yeah,
the kitchen table, because the stereotypes and what
for
I keep
sure.
pushing back on all the time is that artists don't make any money. And
Right,
what they do isn't valuable to society. I'm sorry. I get you. See, about to get triggered. About to get triggered. I'm like,
man.
boy,
But
you
now
talk. I'm gonna calm down. You talk. I'm gonna
Now let
calm
me
down.
add
Okay.
on. So yeah, so we have to be very specific with our language when we're talking about this. And that's part of the problem. A lot of times we use artists, and that's a very broad term, right? So, because if I say artist to the average person, they're thinking about like maybe paintings, comic books,
Yes.
cartoons,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like they're not thinking about furniture design, right? Or interior design, right? Like they're
Right.
not thinking about like industrial design, like the people who are designing their cars. They're not understanding that when I say like artists are making a certain amount of money and this, that, and the third, and that number sounds crazy to them, that I'm not just talking about comic book artists or fine artists like a painter or something like that who does galleries. I got friends who are like fine artists, right? And then I have folks who are industrial designers who literally design like patterns for fabrics, right? And some
And
of
there's
those
money
fabrics
in that.
become
Don't get it
widely
twisted.
used, right? Like around the world. I have friends who are like website designers, but then they also work for companies like WordPress designing templates. And so that visual artist who designed this particular template, that template became widely used and is used by millions of people around the world to create their own thing using his idea without ever knowing that he was the person behind it. And we do that with cars all the time. We get in the
Yep.
cars that
Yep.
were literally drawn, hand drawn, first and foremost by like some artists that you'll never know their name, right? And because they work that way and oftentimes are a part of this larger company,
You don't
um
know.
you never know that. Number one, you don't know who this person is. Number two, you
Mm-hmm.
don't realize they're an artist, right? One of the first things I had to do when in at Pratt Institute while I was there for my 3D design class was we had to design a child's chair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and again, when I show up for this class, I'm thinking sculpture and things like that. But then they
Right.
were like, "Nah,
Right.
we're
Right.
we're doing a children's chair," and that's not the most exciting thing. But then it instantly helped me realize I'm like, man, how many children's chairs, like how many chairs for children have I seen in my lifetime,
Right.
right?
And and there are
And
people who
never connected,
specialize in that.
right?
Yep.
And never connected the fact that an artist drew that first. And then they figured out, they engineered it, figure out how it could work, how much weight it could hold, what materials to use. All the science kicks in after. But that initial drawing, that idea came from an artist. And so one of the things that me, my wife do, like when Kwanzaa comes around, Kaumba is our favorite day of Kwanzaa because
Mm-hmm.
it's creativity. And
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
that day,
Makes sense.
whenever we would meet with folks in the community, we use that day to teach them about the different avenues of art. And so that way people have a broader scope of what art includes. And then they start making connections with, oh, these are jobs. These are jobs
Mm-hmm.
that largely we don't know exist. And when I say we, I'm talking about Black people, right? Or,
Absolutely.
or people of color in general who come from the bottom. And so of course we're like, yeah, doctor, lawyer, engineer. Like we say those, right? Because
Right.
that's the thing that we even when we don't actually know doctors personally, lawyers
Amen.
personally,
You're
or
absolutely right.
personally, we're still encouraging kids to follow those because it's quote unquote guaranteed money. Even though not everyone who goes to medical school becomes a doctor, not everyone who goes to law school becomes a lawyer, right? We don't even acknowledge that and how much debt they accrue during that process to
No,
not even.
I'll acknowledge that. I acknowledge that on the show all the time. I hate my law school debt, and I don't practice law actively because
Mm.
I think it's stupid. But this is what happens when you get your nose open by a nice young lady and tell you make such a good lawyer. Okay, so no, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
man. Nah,
I
no
made that
worries.
all about me. I apologize. Go
Nah, no worries, man. But yeah, but it's important for us to understand that art a lot of times is attached to privilege, right?
Mm,
And so there are certain opportunities that folks get in the art world that certain communities never know exists
Talk
largely
about it.
because schools in our communities, aren't equipped to teach like about these subjects. And not for nothing, oftentimes when we do bring artists into the school, it's to help teach a subject like a different type, whatever math they're studying, whatever science they're focused on, or whatever, right? Like they bring in these teaching artists to help kids use art to get better at like science,
Right.
or
It
use
takes
art to
away from the value of art by itself as an art
absolutely.
form. It takes away from the instruction of art. It
Yeah, for sure. We
becomes
use it
art.
like a dressing. You know what I mean? Yeah, we use it like a dressing to
Oh,
add a
wait,
little
wait,
bit
wait.
of
Watch this,
flavor.
because watch this. Watch my art happen right here.
Okay.
We don't want to use it as a dressing. We want to use it like one of those cowboy prime rib steaks at darker than blue.
Man, it's the main ingredient. It's
Right.
literally, it's so I'll go a step further, right? It may not
Mhm.
be the meat and potatoes, right? But it sure as hell is the season. It's the spice. And arguably the spice is the most important ingredient. The spice followed by the texture is what determines for most people whether or not they're going to like or love it or hate it, right?
Oh, watch this,
So
dude.
go ahead.
Woo. You just made me realize the value of art in a different way.
Hmm.
Um, because I've been watching, because I study background marketing and how people, convince people to do other things.
Sure.
And for a while, I was working with some restaurants and food businesses and started looking at, some of their ads and stuff like that. And I remember this one video about how they make the food in the picture look
Hmm.
like it. And I'm talking when there was like spray paints and
Yeah.
acrylics and stuff. And I was like, oh, but then I realized why the hell this doesn't look like what I get in the box. And
Right.
and to your point is that the person who put that visual together was an artist. And
Hmm.
they have done a good enough job to keep all of us coming back from this picture, coming back
Sure.
for this picture we see when we never get it in the damn box.
Oh yeah,
Like
for
that,
sure.
that is the like. It just occurred to me how powerful that is because I love me a good quarter pounder with cheese
Hmm.
and a fish fillet, but they have never in all of the histories of McDonald's done ever
Yeah.
looked like the picture did. Never.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then part of it is like, for example, if I'm, I was a graphic design major. Like there are conversations that we have about colors, right? And it's just like in music. While we know, like, if you play a particular key, as a major key, it's going to create a certain feeling, and if I play a minor key, it might create a sadder or darker feeling, right?
Mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm,
the same is true in art. I know if I use like for example, if I'm trying to sell you food, right, and I'm selling
mm-hmm,
you salads or freshness, right, then I'm gonna use green, right, because you
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
associate green with freshness, and I'm gonna use white
mm-hmm,
because we associate white with purity, right? And then if I'm selling you hot food, right, fast food and it's hot food, like more
mm-hmm,
than likely I'm gonna use colors like red, yellow, orange,
brown.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I'm gonna use those colors because
Okay.
you associate those things with like heat, hot,
Her.
warm, all of these things, right? And then so on and so forth. And we'll use blue or purple or royal blue if that company has king or castle or something in the name. So you
Right.
will associate that with superiority, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things, these are things that your average person doesn't think about. But artists, when you go to certain schools and you're taught on the highest level, critical thinking is everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
being able to use imagery to make to sway people one way or the other, right? And artists are great at doing that. And so when I say that it's associated with privilege, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about the fact that artists are dangerous.
Yeah.
Artists, a really great artist who really knows how to use what they do like in a great way or to manipulate people is
Mm-hmm.
extreme, or to lead people is very dangerous to certain systems we have in place. So there's no
Yes.
surprise that schools that oftentimes offer like really great like opportunities or classes for artists and stuff oftentimes cost the most money, right? If it's so unimportant, then why did my school in the 90s cost 30,000 a year, $120,000 to go to if art is so unimportant, right?
Right.
And how come it's not offered in a lot of schools that aren't private schools or aren't in places where people, families, the family income is a bit higher, right? Why isn't it in those places, right? Because in those schools, they're developing employees. They're creating workers, not necessarily. They're not focused on creating critical thinkers or thought leaders
Right.
per se. You know what I mean?
You about to find yourself back here on a panel discussing the inequities in education. You keep talking about stuff like that
Hey
because
man,
that's one
I'm
of the
with
things
it.
we talk about that all the time because a lot of people don't know that the first mandatory school attendance law was started in, I think it was Boston in the
Mm,
1600s because they wanted to make sure that these street urchin kids weren't tools of the devil. So they had
hmm
brought them into mandatory schooling to show them how to behave in proper Protestant society and be
mm,
contributing members of society, which means
right.
they were looking at their economic potential, not their
hmm
humanity. And
Right.
that's what they did to poor white kids.
hmm
We don't suffer. So a couple of things before, because I love having conversations with people that I know and I love vibing with, but like it always draws me close to the time, and there's some shit I still need to say. Um, one of the things that you were talking about when it comes to the artist, the professional artist, and I love the example about how artists can help shape the
hmm
feel of people and shape the engagement. And I really want to put people on to the concept of psychographics.
mm,
Psychographics are, we have demographics. I'm a black man,
right.
blah, 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 blah. Psychographics tend to deal more with your attitudes and feelings about things. And there's not as much published on it as other things. Why? Because most of the people doing the work are these artists and these people in the background that
hmm
spend all of their time trying to study how to make you feel a certain way.
Right.
One of the
Right.
one and this is one of the last things that I'm gonna end on because I currently got a commercial and some other stuff. I forgot we had I forgot I thought this was just another Zoom in again. I was like, oh
Right.
damn, we got time limits and stuff like that. But one
Sure.
of the things that when you talk about the danger of an artist, watch this.
hmm
The most dangerous artist on the planet right now is
mm
Donald J. Trump.
Hmm.
Let's not forget that Donald Trump is an actor and a con man, and con men are actors
mm
in the most significant way. And
hmm
what he has done is he understands the emotions of a certain group of people. And he
Right.
is using his art, his words, his language, his even his skin color. Because
hmm
again, it makes you feel warm. And so he is using all of these artist tools to destroy democracy and to
hmm
keep himself in power. Now,
hmm
that's not the example that I would like to use about the power of an artist, but it is the most salient example right now.
For sure. No, absolutely. I mean, even when we think about like the Nazi movement, right? And
Hitler
you
was an
know,
artist. He was in art school, wasn't he?
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and I forget the woman's name who was responsible for the art direction for their
Oh,
propaganda.
propaganda. Oh my God.
Yeah, their propaganda and their from the images, like the illustration, from the
Yes.
design of their suits.
Yep.
Like, oh man, artists help like lead to a lot of murder and all of these different things. And one of the things that they did, they went into the museums in these different cities in these countries, and they actually took the art out of there. They took certain things that help you see yourself, right, and understand that you are capable of so much more than maybe you
I'm
see in your
I'm
day to
sorry.
day
Why
life.
why are you gonna bring up white Jesus right now? That's
I-
disrespectful that you're gonna bring up white Jesus when we only got 2 minutes left. You
Man, all
is
right. I'm sorry.
disrespectful.
I'm sorry. Do your thing. It's your show. Do your thing. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. But it's just important for people to understand that if art wasn't so important, like they wouldn't try so hard to limit like who has access to it. They wouldn't try so hard to limit like how much access you have to certain messages, and they wouldn't try so hard to guide you with certain imagery and certain sound and all of these things if it
Right.
wasn't important. All of those things wouldn't exist.
All right. So you know what? I just looked at the time. I'm trying not to get another
All right,
fine.
brother.
This is
Do your
crazy.
thing,
It,
man.
it is crazy. No, but so what we and I say this often, and it's so funny. I realize my audience is just going to end up seeing the same people over and over again. I'm getting to the point where I don't want new people because, like, I just want to go back because, or I might have to talk to Donnie about giving me a 2-hour show. Wait, we'll talk
I
about that
mean,
later. We'll
I
talk about that
mean,
later. Cause honestly, I can go another hour. I mean, not today, but like I could
right.
go another hour because there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about, like the intersection between this imagery and slavery.
Mm,
The mammy stereotypes, the
mm-hmm,
jigaboo, all
mm-hmm.
of these things were
Yeah, for sure.
created by
Yeah,
artists to
absolutely.
control a whole other population. So you see what I'm like, oh my
Absolutely.
God, we could do a whole but you know what? You know what? I didn't take notes on that part, so I'm gonna wait till I take notes. And
Yeah.
then we're gonna bring you back and do that. And actually, you know what? I'm sitting here planning the show. I need to talk to Crazy Horse. I need to ask him about this because I'm sitting there like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, he's gonna be like, bruh, we already have something planned. Don't do that.
Right,
Okay,
right.
stop. I
Hey man,
forget.
I'm with it. You just tell me when to show up, bro,
Uh,
and I got you. All
Brother,
right.
I appreciate you so much, not just for
Likewise,
being an
man.
amazing artist, but also being a good friend and the work that you do for
Thank
the
you,
arts
brother.
community. I am truly grateful.
Thank
And
you.
if nobody else tells you thank you, I'm gonna say thank you on behalf of the Black community because
Oh,
apparently I can represent them now because I have a show.
I appreciate it, man. And man, I got nothing but love for you, brother. And of course, I got nothing but love for our people. So
All
thank you
right,
for
man.
having me. You know.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
All right, brother. Peace.
Peace. Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, look what we did again. Man, I love my job. I get to interview dope people who apparently know other dope people that I know and really share with you all people that are trying to transform and that are transforming the Black community. Another organization doing that is BlackUSA.news, and we have another opportunity for you to get help. Hi, my name is William Honolulu Jr., and I have the privilege of being the host of the Black USA News Morning Show. Black USA News has partnered with the DM Firm, The Grinding Gang, Be More News, and DM Global Marketing and PR Firm to bring you the Perfect Pitch Planning Program. The program will help business owners develop the skills to compete and present a detailed plan to open or grow a business. During the program, you will learn how to create an entrepreneurial mindset, how to clarify and communicate who your target customer is, how to design your business model to meet your customer's need, and how to create realistic financial projections. The first session will be held on February 19th from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you register by February 10th, you will receive an additional $50 discount. If you use the promo code BlackUSA.news, you will receive an extra 10% off. If you are ready to take your business to the next level and save some money, act now before prices rise. This program is sponsored by the book I Am Black Wall Street by Donnie Glover, with a foreword by the Honorable William Billy Murphy Jr.